Fishing's just a great metaphor for sharing our faith with people. For starters, do the fish come to you? Do they leap into your boat when you go out fishing? Before you even push the boat out, do they pop their head on the shore and go, eat me, eat me? You have to go get them, yes? And in fishing, is it not true that you have to catch fish before you clean them? Yes? If you insist that a fish not be slimy and smelly before you let it into your boat, will you ever catch fish? Why then do so many of us Christians, when a lost person walks in and acts so lost, why do we act offended? Ew, they're slimy. And you got to catch a fish before you clean it. Jesus hasn't had a chance to clean them up yet. And another thing about fishing, you got to use the right bait. Nate? Yeah? Y'all? I don't know why I said y'all. Back when I was a senior in high school, my faith was on ice. I had backslidden. I had had a strong faith earlier, but for some reason that year it wigged out. I think it had something to do with a girlfriend. Just saying. But not this girlfriend. But anyway, I was miserable. My parents didn't know how to reach me. And one of the things that I said to myself about why Christianity was like of no interest to me is it's boring. Christianity's boring. And exhibit A of that was my parents. They're boring. And proof of that was the music they listened to. Do you know I grew up in the 60s and 70s and I missed the Beatles the first time around because my parents were listening to Percy Faith and Mitch Miller Band. Can you believe it? You think you had a rough childhood. So here I am. I would come home and I would put on the stereo and I would be listening to Fleetwood Mac and Rolling Stones and Aerosmith and just the same people you're listening to today. They never go away. My parents knew if they were going to reach me that they had one card to play. It was music, and they played it well. There was a folk rock band in the 70s named Mason Prophet, led by a guy named John Michael Talbot, and I loved their music. He was a great guitarist, had an awesome voice, and John Michael Talbot became a Christian, and then he did something really nasty. He took that folk rock style of music that I really liked, and he put Christian lyrics to it. Now, I didn't know about that, but my dad found out about it, and he did something that was even nastier. He bought a CD. I actually think it was a cassette tape. I'm sorry, these were the dark ages. We barely had electricity. But he bought a CD of John Michael Talbot. One day, he was home doing bills on the dining room table, and I was in the living room doing homework or something, and he slipped in, John Michael Talbot, and hit play. And I'm sitting there doing my homework, and all of a sudden, I looked up, and I heard something wafting from the dining room that I'd never heard before from my father's stereo. Good music. I put down my books. I walked down the hallway. I looked around the corner. Dad was so cool. He's like the Pied Piper. He knew I'd come, but he was just being hello, son. He went back to his checkbook. Now, did I say, gee, Dad, that's really cool music. Who is that? No, of course not. I'm 17. I have absolute knowledge of the universe. But I spied out the CD, and the next day when he was gone and I got home from school, I went through every drawer, and he stuffed it way in the back. He jerk. But I found that CD, and my friends, I'm telling you that was one of the things that God used to bring me back, because it showed me that there were people my own age, my generation, that were coming to life around Jesus Christ, that it wasn't boring for them. And all that happened because my father saw evangelism rightly, and he chose to enter into the world of his son, and he baited the hook the way he needed to.